Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are on this fine planet. This is Paul Raw here with a hot take. This is a series I'll, you know, release very periodically on what I run across on the internet, you know. So let's start out first with the, obligatory fair use disclosure, disclaimer, whatever the fuck they call, whatever they call this. Let's get that out of the way. And yes, I just cursed. I don't know if I cursed in my last video, but I'll try to keep it at a minimum. I mean, that's how I am. But I do curse. Shit. Fuck it. But yeah, I do curse. I most likely did curse quite a bit in my life. Hey, let's move along. So this hot take is based on a live stream from a Dr. Green Gorilla. They call him Gigi. He's located in the great state of Texas. And I just found it quite interesting. Quite interesting. But I found it interesting because let me take it down for a second. I found it interesting because he pretty much mentioned or he brought up what I alluded to in my last video, what I mentioned in my last video, how the manosphere will eventually evolve into Pan-Africanism, or what I like to call it, Pan-African Babble. So it was quite interesting how it just happened within because I recorded my video from today that was released today a couple of days ago, but it's quite ironic how he just gave me an alley-oop essentially for where I think the manosphere is going. And I'm going to give a breakdown on each part of what like really caught my attention. So here we go. Let's set that up that way. And hey, please like, comment, share, subscribe, do all of the above. Hook your Playboy partner up. Let's start this. Let's get it started. So what he does in the beginning, he's going to set up to where he discusses something that I always knew about him. Because and just to let you know, full disclosure, I've been on his live stream in the past. If you recognize my voice, you know the username I use on that live stream. I've been on his live stream a couple of times because he's a very, polarizing person. On one hand, you want to like him. The next hand, he's just ignorant and disrespectful. And that brings in views. And it works for him because he gets a lot of super chats. But that's neither here nor there. But in the beginning of what I'm going to show is what I've always assumed about him. And the thing about it is, I didn't take his red, black, and green motif too seriously because for me, that became like a fashion statement a lot of times. Gucci uses red, black, and green, but I didn't take it to heart. But, and he calls himself Green Gorilla. So it all was confusing. But once I was on his live stream a few times and I listened to his live streams, I realized he's a Pan-Africanist and he's older. He's like significantly older than me. And I know his generation. His generation raised my generation, essentially. They were our OGs. And I know how they are, especially when it comes to Pan-Africanism. It's like they won't let it go like Lionel in this damn blanket from Peanuts. It's like, just let it go. Like, goddamn. But hey, I still got love and respect for Gigi. if he happens to run across this. But I don't give a fuck if you don't like what I say, homie. And I know how you get down, so none of that matters to me. If you catch my drift, one love, baby. Let's get it started.
Day 70, like, yeah, fuck off.
Let me just say this shit, right? So as an academician, man, I have been involved with like straight up Africans. You know what I'm saying? Like there'll be an Africa conference. I'll go to the motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
True.
I'll sit there and drink, eat, talk, converse. And, there's a hierarchical structure there. They don't make any bones about it. There's no hiding it.
Okay, I'm going to pause right there. And that's what I always assumed, because he's in academia. And man, when I tell you, when you go to school, I mean, for me, it started real early. It started in middle school, pretty much, where I was just surrounded by African immigrants. And it continued well into adulthood and into, college. They're just there. They're there for whatever reason, And hey, more power to them. But what I am saying, or what I'm getting to, is I always assume, since he's gone into the PhD realm of academia, he's gone that far, he's encountered a lot of Africans, because that's what happens when you go higher up. You encounter, the reason I it's so like normal to me is because, like I said, it started in middle school. So for me, when I'm in algebra and geometry and stuff like that, I'm with the African kids. I'm one of 2 or 3 Black Americans. It's either the African kids or the quasi-Black kids. Your Indians, your Middle Easterns, your even your Caribbeans. They're quasi-Black in many regards. It all depends on the individual. One love, one heart. But here we go, man. So for Gigi, I always knew he encountered these Africans. So I know that he's in a very unique or very tight position when it comes to discussing the Black American, Black immigrant relationship. Because he has to work with these people on a high level. It's not like it's something he can just ignore. And these people have power over him, unfortunately. And that's a result of the baby boomers and their Pan-Africanism and all that other crap from the past. They put them in position over their own children. And now we have to answer to them. It's damn near like they sold us and now they're over here to control us. It's kind of weird. And I don't want to sound too accusatory or even paranoid, but that's what it seems like. But let's keep it moving.
Right.
Like I remember one time I came in, I was eating Chick-fil-A or some shit, right? The dude who run the program, who like the head over the conferences, like one of the big wigs in the department and everything, man, he just went in my chicken box and shit. And like as an African American, that's like you don't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the typical African American response is, bitch ass nigga, what you doing in my chicken box?
And yes, you're damn right. You don't go in people's food. That's disrespectful. And I don't care what the reason is. I know it's like going back to what I said earlier. I've been around them since middle school. So I know they've done that shit to me too since I was a kid. I can remember going to a diner with my friend after school, and we would get some French fries. And they were real cheap, but they were plentiful. Like this place will hook it up for us. And we would get our own French fries, but he would eat up his French fries and then put his hand in my damn bag. And I'm like, what the hell? You better stop it. But luckily, I'm not reactionary, or not, at least I don't go overboard. So he would do that shit to me. So it's really like a cultural thing. And as I, developed and I got used to it, I realized it's their way of saying, it's their way of either fucking with you or saying I love you. And they're one and the same sometimes. Like, to fuck with you is to love you. I mean, we all do it. I mean, we all do it. And the thing about it is, what I noticed is one thing, like Gigi said. As a Black American, you take serious offense to it. But other groups, they take offense, but not as much. But for Black Americans, we take serious offense to it. And that's because, in my opinion, we've had times where people have messed with our food. You know, when we go out to eat, we don't know if we have to pray over it because we don't know if the cook, be they white or black or whatever, didn't spit in our food, do something to it. You know, because we're paranoid that way. Because I mean, there are times where these people do shit to our food to fuck with us. So for someone to put their hand on our food, it triggers us. You know, so, but yeah, let me continue with what Gigi, and you know, continue with this story so we could get through this. But bottom line is, you're not putting your hand in my motherfucking chicken box. But Gigi gives the reasoning, and I understand it. But motherfucker, just like I said, they sold us, now they're here to control us. It's very weird. Again, I stumbled across this because I had to speed through Gigi's, you know, presentation, and I found this part. But here we go.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
But in that culture, it's like, look, I'm the elder. Right. First of all, you are a part of my community, and you're benefiting from me even attaching myself to you. I'm already an established scholar. You trying to get your shit published. I'm the motherfucker who can make it happen.
Yeah. And
he did make it happen.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's like, there's a hierarchy here. I'm just testing you, really. The guy probably was like, I want to see if this motherfucker's all about himself, or would he be willing to give up something in order, you know, like to understand it is bigger than him. Like, he didn't give a fuck about that chicken. Right. He got all these, man, look,
See? So Gigi recognized that this person is in a position of power. So let me, you know, show some indifference and you know, some decorum and go with the flow because it can work to his benefit. And he just said it did work to his benefit. But who in their right mind would grow up in a country and import people that they have to answer to? Who in their right mind will be okay with that? Nobody. The only people they expect to do this are Black Americans. The only people. We are the only group who's expected to have another group imported every other generation to rule over us in some respect. The only group. And that's just how it is. But to go back to what Gigi said about the hierarchy and how that's a part of their culture, yes, that's very true. But that's in every community. Every community has a hierarchy. But who says that who made up the rule or the law that we should accept someone implanting someone in that hierarchy? Usually when you have this hierarchical setup, if that's the right word, excuse me, you have someone who's over you, who's a long time scholar or resident or just public figure in your community, and they have that authority over you due to your close proximity or relationship to this person, whether it's professional, personal, or otherwise. You know, you just accept it because that is the hierarchy. What he has accepted is the fact that someone who hasn't been here that long still having rule over you. That's weird. That's like, I can understand. See, I understand why we accepted it. And it's because during World War II, a lot of people from Europe came over here and they worked in the HBCUs as professors and academics. So it's a part of our culture essentially because they came to the HBCUs. But these people and a lot of people that I would respect in that position are like highly like educated, like they're really smart. I mean, they're here. It's not like they're just your everyday Joe Schmo who went to University of Benin or Lagos and they got a PhD, and now they're over here and they're teaching social sciences or liberal arts. No, these people are the people who fucking design Volkswagen and motherfucking and Mercedes Benz and shit. Those are the motherfuckers who came over here because they're really scientists, but some of them will come over here and work in the liberal arts field too because they're very well diverse, or they're well versed. Excuse me, they're well versed in so many subjects, and they're intelligent enough to assemble and mix and blend all these subjects. But I don't know who this guy Gigi is talking about, but in my experience, a lot of times those guys aren't the sharpest tools in the tool shed. They're just not. They're just somebody who came here in America at the right time and benefited from our resources. And that's it. That's all they are. But let's keep on going, man. And thank you for being with me this long, because this is a hot take, but it's taking longer than I thought. Like, share, subscribe. Do your Playboy partner a favor, please, and pass the word along.
I'll tell you this. Going to fuck around with them dudes, man, like who have positions in America already, but already have attachments in Africa because they, like chieftains and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they got big bread, man.
Yeah.
Stupid bread. Like, I was like, okay, they got a upfront party and a behind the scenes party with a,
Okay, here we go. I got to pause. Like I said, it seems like, I'm not sure, but it seems like they sold us and now they're here to control us. He just said this guy's like a big chieftain. And yes, I admit, I had a class with a guy like that. I knew this guy's family. He was a professor and he was a chieftain back in, I forgot what country, but believe me, he was a chieftain. And yes, and this guy that Gigi's talking about could be the same person who descends. He could be the person who descends from the same people who sold us. And that's just what it is. It's like it's a fact of life. It's just what it is. It's nothing to harp over, but it's just, again, my favorite word, the irony of it all, And Gigi pretty much is, he acquiesced to this guy for a fairly good reason. You can't overreact to people. Like I said about my friend in middle school who would put his hands in my French fry bag, because they used to give us the brown bag full of French fries and just, But yeah, so you can't overreact to people. That's one thing I was always taught. The best response is no response 99.9999% of the time. That's just what it is, Or is it 99.9991% of the time? There we go. Let's keep it moving. But yeah, like keep that in mind. Make a mental note how Gigi says these guys are chieftains and they got big bread. And that's another thing I noticed about Gigi. Gigi is an ex-dope dealer. And that's another element to this whole, Black American, Black immigrant. I don't want to call it a conflict, but this situation we have going on. There's a street element there that we have yet to address that's most likely more serious than any other aspect of this situation. A lot of people don't know this, but I know this for a fact. I could contact people and I can converse with them on Facebook and, block out their names and show you the conversations I'll have because they're Black immigrants, but they're on the street level. These motherfuckers, I'm not going to delve into that because I'm not a street dude. I'm not into that shit. I just know I've been in close proximity to the hood since birth, but that's neither here nor there. But for Gigi, he acknowledges this guy's wealth as a way to say, I have a reason to defer to him. And that's a part of the street code, The man who owes what's the golden rule? The man who has a goal makes the rules. That's just what it is. But let's keep it moving.
The big wigs and the chieftains and the elders be. And they give you the rock gut liquor and shit, and they got all the premium shit. Box upon box upon box of premium liquor and food and everything.
Facts.
seen it with my own eyes. The only thing they ask is, man, hey, look, be respectful when you're around this man and stop trying to be the center of attention and listen to us talk.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, like, but you know, like Americans, they want to run the shit. All I'm saying is, I
have to pause it there. That goes back, and I have to pause it here because this is where I see his generational, leanings. That this is part of his generational leanings when he cites how Americans are arrogant, because that's what he was fed in the 60s and 70s. I don't know how old he is, but I think he was born maybe in the 60s or maybe the 70s, and they were fed that stereotype, like, Americans are arrogant and all this other stuff. And that's because we were coming off the heels of two major wars, and we're still dealing with the war in Korea and Vietnam. And when he was coming of age, he's coming off the tail end of that. So it's like we had a time where we were over ridiculing ourselves, maybe for good reason or not so good reasons. But but that mentality shows in what he says and how he approaches this subject, the Black American, Black immigrant situation. It's not a conflict. I want to take that back. It's just a situation that we can work through, but you can see how he still holds on to those ideals. Let's keep it moving.
I had contact with African culture, man. Contemporary, never could have, I can't have contact with pre-colonial Africa. All I can do is study it, you know what I'm saying? And try to piece together what the value system would be like. But I know one thing. The value system that they would have would not be anything like the sexual revolutionary cosmopolitan idea about who the individual is and happiness, the exploration of happiness and the development of a life plan within it. It's not like Sex in the City, man. That's not how they live life, bro.
Right.
Now, this is where I enjoy Gigi's, input when he tells the truth, when he just tells the truth about life. And here you could already tell what he's discussing. Pretty much, in Africa, they didn't have any type of cultural norms where women are just loose and whatever. This is what I enjoy. Tell the truth. Let's keep it moving.
But this is how we live. Like we're gonna juxtapose our concept of sexual liberty and freedom on pre-colonial Africa, and then use it to justify the marginalization and the pushing to the periphery of men and family life in contemporary America. That's some sadistic shit to me, man. That's fucked up. I'm eating these almonds though, but I'm about to get off this, man. I think that's intellectually dishonest.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying it ain't never, ever in the world, no gay shit going on in Africa. Like there wasn't alternative family constructors in Africa. I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is, you can't knock the fact that you can't deny that men were an integral and a substantive part of the decision-making processes that took place in family life in pre-colonial Africa. You're not going to say that shit.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Again, I appreciate this input because the thing about Gigi is I stumbled across his videos, and a lot of stuff he says is something that either informs me or reminds me of what I already know. So I enjoy that stuff. Like I enjoy philosophy. I minored in philosophy. So I love that information. I love historical facts. I love, theories and concepts. So this is okay with me. But let's continue. Let's see what he does.
And TM, I don't know who you are, man. All that prison babble shit, man, bruh. Man, cut it out, man.
I hate to pause, but this is what really caught my attention. See, I'm watching the playback because I didn't catch it live, so I don't know what this guy said. But Gigi stopped posting the live chat, And I noticed he stopped doing that after he banned me maybe like a month ago now, or maybe 2 months ago. I don't know. It was some time ago. But there's no live playback suddenly. And I'm suspicious of any YouTuber who bans people from the chat or shuts off the live playback of the chat. I'm very suspicious of that. Excuse me. I think I said suspect, but I'm very suspicious of that. Why do you ban people? Why cut off the live chat? Why not let us see the discourse that built up to whatever you're going towards in your live stream? So what I can only assume is some guy in the chat pointed out, or not pointing out, but he made some Black American comments, or he made some ADOS comments, FBA, freedman comments, or something along those lines. And Gigi pretty much called it prison babble. Instead of, that, and the irony of him saying that is the fact that he's an ex-con, and any talking points on ADOS and FBA are really non-prison babble. Because the bottom line is, a lot of niggas in prison are Pan-African. I mean, BGF, Black Guerrilla Family, is pretty much a Marxist Pan-African gang. That's just what they are. But it's kind of ironic how he calls it prison babble, whatever the guy said. But I know what he said most likely was related to ADOS, FBA, Freedman, Black American, whatever title you choose, that's your business. But you could just tell. But I won't know because, again, you turn off the live playback for the chat. But here we go.
Some Africans are dying to get here, some are not. You got some Africans are billionaires, man.
Yep. Yeah.
You got rich and poor everywhere, dog.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
I mean, the whole idea.
See what I said? It just all, it all comes out in the wash. See, the guy in the chat most likely said, I don't know what he said, but what I suspect is he said something along the lines of, why are Africans trying to come to America so much? And, whatever he said in relation to, I don't know. Again, the live playback is not there. And Gigi started doing that after he banned me maybe a month ago. But of course we know there are a lot of African millionaires and billionaires. I just covered Hakeem Olajuwon in my last video. He didn't come here poor. None of them come here poor. We're not, and that's the thing about Gigi. It's like he's in the South, so he didn't grow up with a lot of them under certain circumstances, because he's in Houston and there's a lot of them down there. But he most likely knows them from a work and school capacity. He doesn't know them like from a growing up and really knowing them capacity. He doesn't know them in that capacity. I don't know how he knows them, but he most likely doesn't, because they haven't been there long enough for him to know them that way. Whereas for me, like I said, I'm an OG officially. So if I say I've known them since middle school, that's a long time ago. Gigi doesn't have that experience. So he doesn't even understand about what he doesn't understand what he's saying makes a point, and it also defeats his point, because he's saying that there are a lot of African millionaires, so he's pretty much saying they don't all want to come to America. But what he doesn't understand is a lot of them who come here are either in close proximity to the African millionaires, or they're the actual African millionaires. So he doesn't even know how he's contradicting himself. So yes, you do have to ask, why is that a well-off African still trying to come to America? Like, what is it? Why do you need to come here? You have your own universities, or you should have your own universities. You should have your own economies. You should have everything that you need for you not to want to come here. So he doesn't even know what he's saying contradicts itself. But let's keep it moving.
In prison, like, man, come on, man. Like, what, bruh? Some of you dudes, man, you talk like crackers, but you have no power like crackers. That's the shit that fucks me up.
Exactly.
You just summarized the whole stream.
Yep. Niggas got the attitude of Clayton Bigsby and shit, but there's a nigga like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
I gotta pause. See what I'm saying? He doesn't even know what he's saying. Doesn't add up. I mean, in the real world, because the world he's referring to is academia and work. That's not the real world necessarily. That's a level or a prong in the multi-pronged real world, but it's not the real world. You get it? No one's trying to sound like Clayton Bigsby or sound like white supremacists or anything. It's just you have to point out the realities of life. And if a person does sound like Clayton Bigsby, why not entertain it? And if he's wrong, dispute it, debunk him, and send him on his way. And you know what? What's so ironic is the guy right here in the bottom left side of Gigi's panel, look at him. He's most likely a black immigrant too. He's most likely first or second generation. I mean, I'm not, an expert, but I'm pretty good at this. And that's why he's agreeing with Gigi, is pretty much saying, like, they want to sound like white people, but they don't have the power like white people. And you see how he jumped towards that sentiment. Is because a lot of black immigrants feel that way. They feel like if you say anything about their presence, then you're racist and you're trying to be like the white man, but you don't have his power, so shut the fuck up. That's what they pretty much mean and feel most times. And I say this as a person. I don't know if I said this in my last video, but I'm half black immigrant. So I know why they say what they say and do what they do a lot of times, because I heard it since I was a child. Not only from my family, but people who realize what I am and they're very comfortable with me. They disclose shit and I just take it for what it is. But thing about me, not to get too far off track, is the fact that I thought that a lot of them would evolve and show some humility and compassion and check their ego. But no, they've let this shit run amok. Just like this guy agreeing with Gigi saying, you want to act like the white man without his power. Nobody trying to act like the white man or try to, inherit his power. We're just stating the facts. Why are you still coming here if you're so well off? Or even if you're not well off, why are you still coming here and not fighting for your rights in your home country? That's a valid question. Why can't we ask that question? For Gigi, it goes all back to that Pan-African upbringing I mentioned. But here we go.
Summarize the whole stream with that statement right there. and the same with the women. Like you guys always say, the women want to be Miss Ann.
Yep.
And the dudes want to be Chad. But James Brown said it the best. I mean, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. And the elders are usually the ones who have paid the cost to go in your chicken box.
Exactly. They
got these young people out here who just want to.
And he's right. You do have to defer to your elders. But like I said, no more than 10 minutes ago, who says I should, acquiesce to an elder that came here a week ago? I don't know him. And especially for my generation, there were elders who I saw pretty much just deteriorate before my eyes due to the crack epidemic. So that kind of warped my generation's view of the elder-child dynamics. It kind of warped it. But at the same time, it gave us a clear perspective that some people are not your elders. They're just old motherfuckers. And that's something that people say online now. And hey, I don't always subscribe to that. I will not disrespect older people, because like I said, we had to adjust our approach to our elders. So for me, I evolved in a way to where I give you respect immediately, no matter if you're homeless or whatever. I'm gonna give you your respect as an elder. But as soon as you violate that shit, man, and you're one of those elders who I shouldn't give it to, who they're pretty much, they wouldn't give it to. I'm not gonna tolerate it. It's just, it makes no sense. And believe me, I try to just give them unlimited respect. I could give you so many stories where, I used to feed some of these people, and then, as soon as I couldn't feed them, they want to pull that elder disrespect me card, and I had to let them know, don't play with me. Shit, you want some chicken fingers tomorrow, nigga? Watch yourself. But hey, here we go. Let's keep it moving.
To be respected just because they on, they on Earth. Like, let's sit the fuck down.
Or because they graduated from college, but you still haven't. What have you accomplished?
And look,
do you see how this equalizer guy is trying to again impose his views? He pretty much just said, we don't give a fuck if you're educated, even though if they're educated, I mean, black immigrants, we should defer to them, even if they haven't accomplished anything. I mean, the perfect example is fucking Candace Owens. And she didn't even graduate from college. She just went to the University of Rhode Island, which isn't an Ivy League. She dropped out, but people are still listening to her. But for him, he's saying that to us, black Americans, it doesn't matter if you graduated college. Shut the fuck up. But they won't do that for them, for their own people who didn't graduate or didn't even who graduated too, but haven't accomplished anything. They will still fucking listen to them. I mean, there was this guy called King Face, a Haitian guy from New York, who was really vocal during the Trump presidency. Nobody ever told him to shut the fuck up. We don't even know if he went to college. But this nigga is sitting here telling us that even if you went to college, who gives a fuck if you haven't accomplished anything? So that means shut the fuck up. That's what he's pretty much saying. Let's keep it moving.
thing I'm also not saying is that African culture was like this panacea, like it was perfect and pristine.
No.
There was no violence taking place there, no corruption, no scandals. Like there's no place on earth where corruption and scandal
Doesn't
and
exist.
violence and enmity and internecine warfare and rape and like there's nowhere on earth where that shit happened, bro. Like where there was a fucking like utopia, like that shit never existed anywhere, man.
I think the point.
Some people like look, let me just say this shit.
No, go ahead.
If you're an African American, you are a descendant of Africans. Ain't no question about it.
Yeah.
So you can hate them niggas all you want to, but the reality is you're grafted from them niggas. You are a hybridized people, a hybridized population that are the descendants of Europeans mixed with Africans, bro. It is what it is.
And everything
you can hate
good
it
and
or
bad
love
that
it.
we do, we got from them. And they do the same shit.
Okay, let's pause it. Of course we know we descend from Africa, but that was fucking over 400 years ago, you dumb motherfucker. Excuse me. Mr. Gigi, a.k.a. Green Gorilla, Professor Green Gorilla. Of course we know we're African. That's not the fucking point of whatever the commenter said in the chat. Okay? And if we are African, why, we should like show some love for our African lineage. Why are these people coming here instead of staying home, building something for us to come back to our African roots? Do I make any sense at all? Of course we know we're African, but we are the only group in America who has been here longer than anybody else, but then has to defer to our African brothers like they are still our elders or they're more knowledgeable and we need to be connected to them. You don't see the Italian American doing that with new Italian immigrants. Irish definitely don't do that shit. I know this for a fact because I grew up essentially visiting Boston my whole life. And then, there's a lot of Irish in New York, of course. I remember I had an Irish neighbor, and you could tell he's fresh out of Ireland. And he was pretty much struggling. He didn't come here and, just automatically get ushered into some type of Irish upper class life, because Irish have been here a long time too, and they're well established, of course. Shit, my uncle grew up with on the East Coast, we all grew up with them. But this Irish immigrant I knew a long time ago, he was fucking dirt poor, working as a fucking waiter. He didn't come here and get ushered into a professorship or into some type of, high position in the Catholic Church. No, but for Gigi, he's on some, you're African, so just obey and shut the fuck up. don't deny your roots. No, we're not denying our roots, but we're also not going to play second fiddle to somebody who got off the fucking plane at JFK yesterday. Who the fuck? What the fuck? Man, let's keep on moving.
You can hate it or love it, nigga. It is what it is. Oh, you can go to Africa, nigga. You're part of that. You have part of Africa in your vein. Every human does, but bruh, all this
ding, 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 ding. We are, and that's a key part of this whole situation, or this whole discussion, or quagmire, whatever word you like to use to describe. Hey, we all come from fucking Africa. So what the fuck is your point? Just because we're 400 years removed and this person is 2,000 years removed, you know, there's a difference. It's like, I mean, what the fuck? I mean, come on, man. Excuse my language. I need to stop. I don't need to curse. I really don't. It's just when I hear like insane things, I tend to curse, you know. And there was a study that was conducted that said intelligent people curse more. I don't know how true it is. I read the study, but hey, whatever. But let's keep it moving.
Well, you know, I hate Africans. Fuck Africans. Nigga, you're a descendant from Africans. Yeah. You fucking nitwit.
I think, yeah, that's but they don't understand that. And a lot of Africans don't.
No one hates Africans, dog. I love them. Like I said, I've known them since middle school, and I would show them love, but no matter how much love I showed this person, they would still like treat you like shit. Like, what the fuck is this? And it's not just them, it's the Caribbeans too. They do the same shit. The Caribbeans, I'll give them a little reprieve because they do, like, once you with Caribbeans, once you show your love and like, in, you know, your willingness to be open and whatever they use as a qualifier, once you prove yourself, there is a time where they're cool as fuck, okay? But with Africans, they're not like that. You know, not all, and most of them are not like that. Let me say that. Most of them. I've had cases where no, like once the love is there, the love is there. But baby, most of the times, nah, no matter what you do, this motherfucker is going to be an asshole. And a lot of times, I've been raised in a family where, you know, with a lot of assholes. So for me, I have a high tolerance level. So I still love them even though they're assholes. So that's the thing about Gigi, what he doesn't understand. Nobody's saying they hate being African or they hate Africans. All we really want to do is renegotiate our social contract. That's all we really want to do. It's not that complicated. You know, it's not that complicated. And this is not a hot take. I'm looking at the clock and I'm at 48 minutes or so. I apologize. But please like, share, and subscribe, you know. But let's get through this.
Don't understand.
Look. I can understand you being ADOS, but look, you are an American descendant of slavery. If you are a descendant of slavery, you are from fucking where? Ain't no theory.
Western Africa.
We know it's not a theory. We know where we're from. It's not, I mean, how hard is this to understand that you could be part African and not African? Motherfucker, there are whole fucking swaths of white people in the Midwest, especially. If you go to Midwest, you'll see some of the most unique features in some white people. And that's because a lot of them have black ancestry. But does that make them African? Hell no, that doesn't make them African. Now, when it comes to that, the octoroons, as I call them affectionately, it all depends on their orientation on whether they're black or anything. But my point is, of course we know we're African. But that part African doesn't necessarily just make us African. And boy, Africans will let you know that shit themselves. I'm not going to tell that story. I'll save that story for later, but they will let you know. Okay? Shit.
This is not a theory, bro.
I've talked to 50-plus-year-old African Americans who say that they're not descendants of slaves at all. So I asked them, so why are you talking about why are you saying the white man keeping you down, and then you're saying you're black, but then you're telling me that you don't have any ancestors from Africa or slavery. So where the fuck are you from?
Man, look.
See, this equalizer guy, he's Caribbean most likely. That's what I suspect from his accent and his talking points, because they do that. Like, I just gave Caribbeans a reprieve. I cut them some slack no more than 5 to 10 minutes ago. But growing up with them, and I grew up with them heavily too, they do that, try to make it seem like we deny our blackness. It's like a real mind fuck, because they'll sit up here and promote Africa, but they're the biggest coons on planet Earth. They're like coons like a motherfucker. I love them, but Caribbean coons are something else. I descend from those motherfuckers. But that's neither here nor there, at least half of me. And he's saying a 50-year-old man said he's not African. We don't know if that's true or not. Maybe he ran across some 50-year-old black American who had a couple of drinks and is down on his luck or whatever. For whatever reason, he's not going to find too many 50-year-old black Americans who will say they're not African. That's come on, stop it. Especially 50-year-olds, because they're pretty much baby boomer adjacent, and that means they have a lot of Pan-Africanism in their upbringing, no matter whether they like it or not. And even if they didn't have a lot of Pan-Africanism in their upbringing, they were the kids who watched Roots live on TV, when it was aired. You get what I'm saying? So they know they're African. What they're saying most likely, or what he's misinterpreting, is they're saying is, yes, I'm African, but I am Black American. I have a culture of my own. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's the truth. It's been 400 or 500 years. What the fuck? And we have the proof in front of us, like Gigi said. It's not a theory. We know what we created. We created the fucking drum set. The thing that created the most beautiful music in the world. And that was our creation. That's just one example. I can give you millions of examples that separated us from our African roots, if you want to call it that. It's really called a Kabulon, allegedly. And when I say separated us, I don't mean separate us genetically, but in terms of culture, we created our own culture out of an amalgamation of encounters with new African immigrants, indigenous, and European immigrants, or Middle Eastern immigrants too. So, shout out to Ahmed. Thanks for Ray Charles. But that's another story. Yeah, so this guy, the equalizer in the far left-hand corner, bottom left-hand corner, he's an example of the Caribbeans who we should have kept in check from the 80s and 90s. We should have had him in check in the 2000s, but no, he's most likely in the Northeast where they let them run amok. And he's still up here just running his mouth. No one's actually pushed or prodded and probed or done anything to test his mettle. He's just running his mouth. He's used to running his mouth. But here we go. And we're almost done. I'm not going to finish the rest, most likely.
Motherfuckers been watching too much Dane Galloway, man, or whatever this dude is, man. You guys, we're one. I'm not gonna say we're the only community, because you got some crackpot white motherfuckers who subscribe to ancient alien theory and flat Earth theory, which I think is fucking absolutely ridiculous if you ask me.
Pyramids and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Look. At the end of the day, you can believe what you want to believe, man, but we're one of the only communities who were a fucking Dane Galloway will have like 500,000 subscribers and shit, and motherfuckers are hinging on his every word, but they'll reject motherfuckers who been studying shit at the graduate level for years and shit. They'll reject that shit. Oh, I don't believe any of that. Double-blind peer-reviewed research and shit is all, to be thrown to the side in favor of some shit some nigga on YouTube said that got likes and subscribers. and followers and shit.
Yeah.
That's the subscribers, likes, and members and super chats is a replacement for double-blind peer-reviewed research and people with accreditation.
Let me pause. And this is where I agree with Gigi. We do have to respect our scholars. And if a person like Dane Galloway, Calloway, excuse me, Dane Calloway, if anything he says is true, or if there's any truth to any of his videos, he should go study this subject. He should go through some type of, process to verify his claims. I agree with him. I mean, we are some of the only people who could fall for the banana in the tailpipe just because a person sounds good. I mean, a perfect example of that was pretty much Marcus Garvey. We fell for the banana in the tailpipe. No matter how well-intentioned he may have been, that's what it ultimately resulted in. He had good ideas, not to talking bad about him. I'll even make a video on him, even though, people have already done it. But bottom line is, he is right in many respects. We should respect our scholars. And that's why I have respect for Gigi to a large degree. Even during that whole fight with Tariq and Dr. Umar, I kind of sided with Dr. Umar, even though Tariq is kind of right. He's kind of hustling, but we do have to respect our scholars. If we don't respect them, who will? Because in every other community, you most likely won't find too many people who will disrespect their intellectuals. They just won't. And that's just what it is. But let's keep it moving.
Unfortunately,
Take it easy on them, Gigi. It's bred into us.
And this ain't got shit to do with the Bible, bro. Like, this man, look. Motherfuckers like, Africa is in the, man, bro, stop the bullshit, man. Go there, man. You can go look at the slave ports, man. You got motherfucking archival evidence of ship manifests.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, they all just fabricated that. Like, they all just made that up. Like, man, I'm done with this shit, bro. I can't do any more tonight, man. I'm done, bro. I don't romanticize Africa. I'm not romanticizing it at all.
See, the person in the chat most likely said that. Like, he's romanticizing Africa. Like, he's giving Africa too much credit for who we are as a ethnic group. And the guy is right. You are giving him too much credit, damn it. You are. Of course we know we came here from there, but let's keep it moving.
Bruh, you ain't got to tell me, I already said, but you are poor African.
Again, part, not all, okay? We are part African, wow, but that's not all of who we are. Wow, come on.
That's the problem. Motherfucker like, well, fuck Africa. Nigga, you are recently from there in terms of time.
Yeah.
Yes, relatively recent. Damn it, 400, 500 years ago. Okay? And no one's trying to claim the indigenous population that may have been black necessarily, but they did exist. It's documented. I mean, come on. But I don't go into that realm too much, even though I descend allegedly. But bottom line is this. Of course, we know we descend from them, okay? And it's been 400, 500 years. That is relatively recent, man. But you'll get why I'm saying this, because he's going to say what. Listen, just listen.
Take it easy on him, Gigi. It's bred into us not to be communal people.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, come on, man. You're a hybridized population of people who your women were basically made into concubines, and Massa nutted all up in them and gave birth to African Americans today, bro.
Yep.
And you can say what you want to about it. We was here, we was with the Native Americans. Look, if you read Ivan Van Sertima that came before Columbus, man, he talked about Egyptians like 1,200, 1,500 years ago, maybe traveling over to this motherfucker. Not recently.
And that's what I alluded to a second ago. We know that some people came here from the other side of the Atlantic a long time ago. We know that. There's cases, I mean, there are tales or stories of the Emperor of Mali sending over 3 ships that never came back. So are we going to really believe that they all crashed or died in the ocean? No, but no one's really claiming that necessarily. I'm not here to claim that necessarily, but that is a historical fact. Okay. I mean, mostly from the oral accounts from African scholars who told authors that I've read, and I could give citations, but yeah, but like he said, that's a long time ago. But he still wants us to hold on to a long time ago, like 400, 500 years. It's illogical in many respects, mostly in regards to our indifference to them, or us deferring to them, or us heaping praise on them for our existence. That has to go. I'm not doing that shit. No, especially I live in the New York tri-state area. I've met a lot of younger Africans. They're younger. They're here. I'm especially not going to sit up here and act like this motherfucker is like my elder or somebody I should look to for my identity. This motherfucker works at Dunkin' Donuts. The fuck you talking about? And that's not to knock anybody who works in fast food. But what I am saying, he makes it seem like we should defer to every motherfucker who comes over here from over there and just go, oh, my brother, oh, I am so alone. I need to know myself. Fuck out of here.
Why you think there's pyramids all over the world? Oops, did I say that out loud?
Right.
Bro, I'm done with it, man. I'm done with it, bro. I go listen to Dane Galloway, man. That nigga's a crackpot, if you ask me.
Well, it's a two-edged fight, man. Because we got to convince us as ADOS that we African, but sometimes we got to convince the Africans that we African too.
Okay, I want to stop here because you could tell this guy is most likely in the Midwest or the South. But he's telling the truth right here for himself. But if you listen to him earlier, he was chiming in saying, like, he was backing up Gigi and his Pan-African babble. And he's in the South and the Midwest. And in my experience, a lot of these guys they're now really embracing that Pan-Africanism in the South. Because I can remember visiting the South, I would have dreads and they would make it seem like I'm coming down there to start a slave revolt. But now they're at a stage where they're celebrating this Pan-Africanism and all this, Pan-African babble, So I don't know if he's from there, and I don't want to make this a regional thing, but there's some regional elements to this discussion, and it's very telling what's going on in the South. And I went down to the South recently. I could get into that too. But the bottom line is, you can hear that this guy is like Gigi. He's in the South and he's really embracing his blackness. Whereas I did that shit as a kid. I'm like, I'm past that stage. And a lot of us are past that stage. And that's another reason I'm making these videos, or I started this series, or the series I plan to create in the future. They're going to be different ones. Like yesterday or today, the one I released today is for snapshots of Peter Pan Africanism. This one is the hot take series, but here we go. We're going to keep it moving.
I mean,
I'm done with, hey, bro, I'm not saying
it's funny you said that about the slave force, because I was in Dakar and I tried to go to Gorée Island, and they told me I had to pay the white man price. I couldn't pay the African price because I had a U.S. passport. I said, look at my skin. Do I look white? They say you don't have you can't pay the African price. I said, oh, okay.
You're American.
I can look.
Period.
Look, you can look.
Culturally.
Motherfuckers talking about cannibalism.
See how the guy admitted what he experienced in Africa. Do you see? And you see how the Caribbean responded. He called him American. See, for the Caribbean, he equates American to white, and he also connects us to that whiteness, if not directly, then indirectly. And that's why he told him that. And he pretty much said that to justify Africans price gouging us for something that should be free. I would never pay to go to a slave castle. Never. I would have to go there for free. And I don't even really want to go back to the scene of the crime. What is it to gain from that? Seriously, I don't, what is it? I mean, that's like saying I want to go on a plantation tour. I really never had a desire to go on a plantation tour. And I've been down to the South since I was a kid. And I never had a desire to, I mean, at least my family and me, I never had a desire to do that. So I'm not going to let you price gouge me on some shit I don't want to do anyway.
Africa, I can tell you it was cannibalism of black people in America.
Yep.
They used to lynch you and eat your nuts, nigga.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peel your skin, put your hair in pillows.
You act like cannibalism wasn't taking place in America. This shit, man, bro. This shit is crazy to me, man. But I ain't gonna lie. I do believe that, you know, the whole idea that like there were millions and millions like of Africans in the New World before white folks, you know, came here, man. Come on, man. That's fantastic, bro. Maybe thousands, but based upon ancient, you know, transport across the Atlantic through trade winds and shit like that, possible. I read Ivan Van Serter that came before Columbus. But like this wholesale evidence, like, you know, like this wholesale nations of Africans over here, man. Come on, man. Stop it, man. Cut it out, man.
No.
Cut it out, bro. Stop it, man. I'm not, bro. Don't do that, man. Cut it out, man. But black people believe anything, man. Like, I mean, you can tell, like, I'm done with it, though, bro. I ain't got nothing else to say, man. I'm done, man. You know, when I'm done, man. No. Pain happened, man. That shit happened so long ago, bro. When the earth was all one, man, that shit was so long ago, bro. Come on, man.
I'm talking about Pangea?
Yeah, man. So anyway, man, look, I'm done, man. I'm gone, man.
Nice.
You know, all I want to do is to demonstrate that, you know, stop trying to connect contemporary sexual politics like a la Gail Rubin, Firestone, Dworkin, Foucault. Don't try to juxtapose that shit and you know, put it over Africa, pre-colonial Africa. No, stop it.
See what I'm saying? That's why I come to him, to refresh my memory on these scholars, you know, and he's helped me in many respects, like refresh my memory, or he's introduced me to new things. So I respect him for that part. See, if he sticks to that and quits with the Pan-African babble, he's good in my book, because his Pan-African babble lets me know that's not his wheelhouse. That's not his expertise. He doesn't have like an on-the-ground lived experience with these people here and how they behave, you know. But let's finish this off.
Don't do that, bro. I'm not going to let you get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, man, look, it is what it is, man. I done had a show, man. It's done. Please like, share, subscribe. Please, if you can, denote a little piece of change, you know, to the Green Gorilla channel, man, so I can keep this thing going. But shout out to all the people, man, who've hit me up. It says Kalanja Kala African is what we say. It's not limited to geography, old customs, or norms. Shout out to him. I want to make sure I get the people who put a little piece of change in my hands. Jiggin said, Gigi is surgical with that pump. Light him up, Doc. You know I'm going to keep lighting their ass up. I don't mind shooting shots. You know what I mean? I saw Mr. Heat hook me up. Shout out to him. for the $99 holler. Appreciate that so much, sir. Shout out to Jigan again. He said the Black Manosphere denotes his pro-black or at least black-centered by the name Black. So I'm boggled by anti-pro-black sentiments in this space. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. I'm like, yeah, if you ain't pro-black, but like anybody can be beholden to an ideology or a thought, and they're not reflective or critical of their own ideology they hold. I'm like, you got to be self-critical. You understand? Yeah. I'm always self-critical. You know what I mean? Leon O.A. says, I'm full Black America, and I have family that still holds the name Kimbo in the Zumbia. My grandmother tried to explain it, but we know where we're from. Like Chuck D said a long time ago, man, I know where I'm from. Not dumb diddy dumb from the place of the bass, the big beat drum. Like a lot of cats now, like I got Indian in my family. Okay,
I'm gonna end it there. You see who he quoted at the end, Public Enemy. And I'm going to say this. That's what I said earlier. He comes from a generation where they still have like a close, they have a deep affinity for Pan-Africanism. Like I have cousins like Gigi. I was on his live stream and I told them that. I have cousins who are like significantly older than me, and I didn't know they knew all this stuff until I got older. Actually, one cousin posted something about Uhuru, Umoja, and all this stuff on Facebook. I didn't know he knew that shit. And and he's not as educated as Gigi at all. But he knows this stuff. And that's because they were ingrained with that feeling or that love of Africa. And I understand it. When they did that stuff a long time ago, it was to counterreact all of the brainwashing that we experienced during the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Tarzan was Tarzan for a reason. They didn't create that show to make us love Africa, okay? But that's neither here nor there. But him quoting the Public Enemy song exemplifies how I view him in his generation. Like they have some type of fucking like infatuation or obsession with this. Go back to Africa, or they just have this infatuation with Africa that is beyond illogical, and it's something that most of them will most likely not outgrow. So you just have to deal with it. And just deal with it. But at the same time, they have to respect our pushback and just don't write off our opinions like they're baseless and tell us to shut up, because that's what I grew up experiencing. I grew up experiencing offering pushback, and ultimately they would just tell me to shut up, or they would get violent. They would literally get violent. In fact, I had like a little back and forth with someone on Facebook I grew up with, who I didn't know was Caribbean growing up, ironically. But yeah, part of one incident we had was me pushing back on all this Pan-African babble. Everything they said didn't make sense to me totally. And it's the same way I view church and other dogma. It's all dogma, really. So his generation is stuck in the past, and that's the reason why I put in the community tab a poll for me to actually go into depth into how the manosphere will transmorph into this Pan-African babble or Pan-Africanism, because you gotta look at the passport bro aspect of things and look at it as they're not only going to go to Thailand and the Philippines, they want to lure some of them to Africa, like Kenya and Ghana and Nigeria. The west coast of Africa especially, they got a lot of strong-faced women over there. So they especially want to see if they could pawn a couple of them off on us, which if they got some big old booty and titties, I can look past the face. But that's another story. I'm not a passport bro, by the way, and I don't support that. But here we go. that's why I want you guys to vote on whether I should really do that video or which one I should do in the poll. So just go vote. If you don't go vote, I'll leave it up or even repost it. It all depends on what you guys decide, because I'm not going to do it just to do it. I don't have time to waste. I'm actually doing this hot take when I should be doing something else. Hopefully, Bottom line is, I'm done, son. Thank you for staying with me. If you stayed with me this long, you can always contact me at parraw1411@gmail.com. That is PARAW1411@gmail.com. If you want to contribute, $PARAW1411 is my Cash App. Just hit your Playboy partner up, and and whenever they hit you with that Pan-African babble, we know what to hit them with, right? Right? We know what to hit them with, right? Or do I need to refresh your memory what we need to hit them with? What do we need to hit them with? We need to hit them with the Peter Pan Africanness. Hit them up. Let them know, man, shut the fuck up. And if not, shut the fuck up, then let's have a dialogue. Let's have a discussion where you don't tell me to shut the fuck up and don't call me ignorant and stupid and actually take in everything I say instead of feeling defeated and want to, exile me because you can't dispute my points. But I'm done, son.